Hi, so today we will talk about histamine intolerance. So, this is a problem that many people have, especially people who have gut issues. Many people with gut issues, gut diseases, have histamine intolerance, and many people don't actually know that they have histamine intolerance. They react to many different foods, they cannot understand why, especially foods that are supposed to be good for you, good to heal your gut. So if it's your case, if you react to foods like bone broth or fermented foods, you might have histamine intolerance. So in this video, I will detail everything you need to know about histamine and histamine intolerance. So I did a video 2 years ago about histamine intolerance. It was a quick video with not too many details. I will put the link up there if you want to go watch it. I give some suggestions on how to heal histamine intolerance in that video, but this video today will go more into details. So before we start, I want to let you know that you can heal histamine intolerance. It's very important to know that you can heal your gut issues. I know that many people don't actually know that they can heal, and many people are just looking for, temporary relief remedies, to stop the flares or to maintain their condition in remission. But what I talk about on my channel is not to just suppress the symptom or relieve your symptoms. It's to heal, to completely heal your gut, to completely heal your gut disease, whatever it is, colitis, ulcerative colitis, Crohn's disease, dysbiosis, Candida, SIBO, histamine intolerance. You can heal all of these conditions. Okay, it's not something that you have for life. I have many other videos on my channel where I explain how to heal your gut. I have one, complete video about that. I have a video about how to heal Candida, video about how to heal SIBO, etc., etc. So go watch my other videos on my channel if you want more details about how to heal your gut condition, whatever it is. I also have a website where I have a blog where I write articles about gut health and natural health in general. My website is thecandidaslayer.com. The link will be under this video in the description box. I offer a course on how to heal your gut naturally. This course includes a booklet that details everything you need to know to heal your gut. And when you buy the course, you can also communicate with me every week. We have a live Q&A on Zoom where you can ask me all of your questions. So I follow you all through the protocol to help you and to guide you. So yeah, the links will be in the description box under this video. And so myself, I had many gut issues. I healed completely 2 years ago. So I am now healthier than ever. I had Candida, severe Candida overgrowth. I had SIBO. I had many skin issues, eczema, acne. I had bloating, gas all the time. I was suffering a lot. I had histamine intolerance. I had food intolerances. And I healed all of that 100% naturally, only with natural remedies. So that's what I show you on this channel. I never recommend chemical drugs, and I only recommend natural remedies. That's the best thing you can do to heal your gut completely and for good. So yeah, that was a small introduction to tell you that yes, you can heal, and yes, you need to know that. Okay, so now we can start. So we will start with what is histamine exactly. So histamine is an important mediator of several processes within the body. Okay, it's something very important. Histamine is not all bad, as we will see. Histamine is naturally made in your body for vital processes. Okay, it's used. It is produced in your body for immune response. for inflammation. Okay, so I made a video recently on my channel. Go watch it, about inflammation, how inflammation is necessary to heal. So, so inflammation and histamine go together. Inflammation is when you hurt your body, you cut yourself or whatever, any kind of injury, and then you have inflammation happening. What is inflammation? Is when the injured part becomes swollen, red, and painful. So why is it swollen, red, and painful? It's because it's your body producing chemicals that will make this part swell, etc., etc. And one of these chemicals made by your body is histamine. Histamine is what will dilate your blood vessels so that your white blood cells can quickly reach and neutralize invaders, pathogens that arrive, on the area of the cut or of the injury. Okay, so histamine is essential for a proper immune response, for the inflammation process that is necessary to heal. Histamine is also an important neurotransmitter in the central nervous system. It is also essential for the allergic response. It is essential for the production of gastric acid in the stomach. Okay, if you don't produce histamine, you cannot digest anything. It's important to know that. And it is essential for the circadian rhythms. Okay, so for these functions, histamine is produced within the body. It is what we call endogenous. Histamine can also be exogenous. That means it comes from outside and in your body. So it can be exogenous, like from food. Okay, there are many foods that are rich in histamine. So when you eat histamine-rich foods, you will have more histamine in your body. Okay, and second, histamine can be made by microbes in your body, in your intestine. Okay, why? It's because microbes can break down proteins. Okay, they make an enzyme that is called decarboxylate histidine, and this enzyme breaks down histidine, that is a type of amino acid in proteins. Okay, so when these microbes break down proteins, this produces histamine. Okay, and histamine also results from mast cell degranulation. Okay, so what is it? So mast cells are white blood cells that are in the tissues, and mast cells, how they neutralize pathogens, they come in contact with the pathogen and they produce different chemicals that will destroy this pathogen. And one of the chemicals that the mast cells produce is histamine. So now let's talk about histamine intolerance. So as we saw, histamine is not bad, it's necessary for the body for many things. Histamine intolerance happens when you have too much histamine in the body. Okay, so histamine can be broken down in the body by two enzymes. Number one, diamine oxidase, that we will call DAO. Okay, so this enzyme DAO breaks down exogenous histamine. That is to say, histamine that comes from the outside, histamine that comes from food, and histamine that is made by your microbes in your gut. Okay, that's what DAO does. There's another enzyme that is called histamine N-methyltransferase, that we will call HMT. This enzyme breaks down endogenous histamine, meaning that it's the histamine made by your own body. Okay, The histamine made by your own body is degraded by this enzyme, HMT. Okay? So where is DAO made in the body? So we have several organs that produce the enzyme that destroys exogenous histamine. The main organ that produces DAO is the intestinal mucosa. Okay, so your intestine, your gut lining, is the main organ that makes this enzyme to destroy histamine. Okay, your intestine. DAO can also be found in the placenta, in the kidneys, and in the thymus. HMT, the other enzyme that breaks down endogenous histamine, HMT can be found mainly in the brain, in the stomach also, in the lungs, in the spleen, in the kidneys, and in the thymus. The key to histamine intolerance lies in the way that histamine is metabolized within the human body. Specifically, how excess histamine is catabolized. DAO is the key enzyme. Histamine from dietary sources and from the activity of intestinal microorganisms will normally be catabolized by DAO within the digestive tract before gaining access to circulating blood. However, if the enzymatic activity at this site is reduced, histamine will be transported from the gut lumen into circulation and augment the level of plasma histamine from endogenous sources. So this is what you need to understand. So the endogenous histamine needs to be there, needs to be made, needs to be produced in the body by the body. Okay, so this type of histamine is fine. We should not, worry about it. It's the normal processes. It is for the normal processes of your body. And the enzyme that breaks down that endogenous histamine, HMT, is like a switch, an on-off switch. Okay, so your body produces histamine for inflammation and whatever, and when its work is done, then comes HMT and stops the process, turns the switch off. That's how it works. Okay, so this part is not a problem because you don't want to reduce the endogenous histamine. No, you don't want that because endogenous histamine, as we saw, is essential. The problem lies with the exogenous histamine and especially with the lack of DAO. This is where you have issues. This is why you have histamine intolerance. It's because your body cannot produce enough DAO. Okay? So we will detail that in the next slides. Okay, there's another thing you need to know. The mast cell activation syndrome. Okay, this is like kind of a disease, it's a syndrome. So as we said earlier, mast cells are white blood cells in your tissues and they produce histamine to destroy pathogens. Okay, so this syndrome supposedly is like, so for people who have this syndrome, it's like these people have like crazy mast cells that produce way too much histamine for no reason. This is like the definition kind of this syndrome. So it's kind of the same logic as for the autoimmune diseases. Okay, like your body suddenly becomes crazy and start doing crazy things for no reason. So I totally not agree with this type of view, because I believe that nature is perfect. I believe that the human body is perfect. And the human body, the human cells, doesn't do crazy things for no reason just because they become crazy. That's not how I see diseases and the human body and nature in general. I believe that if the body does something, it's always for a good reason. And doctors will call it, autoimmune disease or mast cell activation syndrome because they cannot understand what's going on. So, because they don't understand what's going on, they say it's the body that is crazy, you know, like that. No, no, the body is not crazy. It's just them. They don't know what's going on, and they don't want to say that they don't know what's going on. So, if your mast cells produce lots of histamine, there is a good reason for that. Okay? It's because there is a pathogen that they are trying to fight. Okay? And maybe the doctors cannot see the pathogen, so they don't understand why the mast cell produce so much histamine. Because they are trying to fight something. And it's the same logic for autoimmune diseases. It's not the body attacking itself, it's the body attacking something in your body that should not be there. And the doctors cannot see what your body is attacking, but it's not attacking itself. And why these things do happen, it's like the number one cause is toxicity because of chemical products and because of heavy metals. So, I could detail this some more about autoimmune diseases. And um, so kind of the body like destroys its own cells in autoimmune diseases, but again, it's not a mistake. So again, I won't spend an hour just on that subject, but it is for a good reason. And it is usually caused by pathogens, but even more than that, by toxicity and by chemicals and heavy metals. Anyway, maybe I will make another video to detail this thing. Okay, so let's move on. So you can make tests to test your histamine to see if you have histamine intolerance. If you have histamine intolerance, so you can do a stool test. The stool test will measure the DAO in your gut. Like, is your gut producing enough DAO? This test is interesting because, as we saw, the main problem with histamine intolerance is, the lack of DAO. And as we saw, DAO is mainly produced in the gut. Okay, so we want to know if your gut produces enough DAO. So the stool test is interesting. There is also a blood test that you can do. But the problem with the blood test is that it doesn't show the amount of DAO in the gut. It will show DAO in the blood. It will show HNM. What's the name? HMT. HMT in your gut, in your blood. But that's not what is interesting to us. Okay. We want to know the amount of DAO in your gut. There is another test where you can test the amount of DAO in breast milk. This is another interesting test because it allows us to know if your baby is getting enough DAO. Okay, if your baby has symptoms like diarrhea, rashes, and stuff like that, and you cannot understand why, it could be caused by histamine intolerance. And why would your baby have histamine intolerance? It could be because you don't have enough DAO in your milk. Okay, so this is interesting if you want to understand the symptoms of your baby. And the last thing to know if you have histamine intolerance, it's from your symptoms. So this is what I recommend. I don't really recommend those tests. I don't think they are necessary to find out if you have histamine intolerance. Just look at your symptoms. That's enough to know if you have histamine intolerance. Like, in a nutshell, if you react to histamine-rich foods, then you have histamine intolerance. So this is what we will see in the next slide. So the symptoms. What are the symptoms of histamine intolerance? So as you can guess, it's the typical symptoms from allergic reactions. So migraines, headaches, runny nose, itching. You can have also acne, digestive symptoms, diarrhea, constipation, bloating, gas, and so on. It's usually more diarrhea than constipation, but it can happen. Like people with histamine intolerance usually have diarrhea, but they could have constipation too. Nausea, acid reflux, edema, vertigo, tachycardia, arrhythmia, weak muscles, and tics. So tics is when you have like weird nervous movements. It can be your eyes, it can be anything on your face or things like that. So that can happen for people who have histamine intolerance. It's not very well known. Most people don't know it can be related, but tics can be one of the symptoms of histamine intolerance. So what are the causes of histamine intolerance? Number one cause, leaky gut, because the gut lining makes the DAO enzyme that is supposed to break down histamine. Okay, so here you can see on the picture a picture of the gut lining with the villi. The villi are like the little fingers here. These fingers are in charge of absorbing your nutrients, and they are also in charge of producing enzymes like DAO or lactase, for example. So when you have an injured gut, if you watch my channel, chances are that you have gut disease, whatever it is, Crohn's disease, whatever. So when your gut is injured, your villi are injured also. You don't have nice villi like that. You have like just pieces of villi, and you have a hard time absorbing food. And also because these villi are destroyed, they cannot produce enough DAO or enough of the other enzymes. Okay? So number one cause of histamine intolerance is leaky gut, because your gut cannot produce DAO. Okay, so you need to repair your gut, and this is what I explain on my channel, in my course, on my website. I explain how to heal your gut, how to repair your gut. And when you repair your gut, then you won't have histamine intolerance anymore. It is as simple as that. Okay, I have a whole video about how to heal your gut. I will put the link up here. So number two, another cause for histamine intolerance, drugs, chemical drugs. They block the DAO and the HMT enzymes. Chemicals in general, they create inflammation and therefore histamine release, and they also block DAO and HMT. This is also something that I repeat in many of my videos. Gut issues, gut conditions are always caused, like the main cause is always chemicals and heavy metals. Another cause is a bad diet where you eat tons of processed foods, and processed foods are filled with toxic additives, and we said that chemicals are responsible for histamine intolerance. So you have chemicals in processed foods, plus processed foods is just devoid of nutrients. It's really bad. So eliminating processed foods from your diet is the first thing you need to know to do with whatever condition you have. Okay, so a bad diet is also a diet that doesn't have nutrient dense foods. Your body needs lots of vitamins, minerals, enzymes, and amino acids and so on to heal, to repair its tissues. So you need a good diet with lots of vitamins and minerals and all of these things. So you need to eat organ meats, You need to eat fish or seafood, green vegetables, a natural diet. But I will talk about that in another slide. So yeah, a bad diet with no organ meats, no fish or seafood, because fish and seafood provide omega 3s, but not only zinc, iodine, and so on, green vegetables, and so on. Another cause for histamine intolerance, leaky gut, or again, or any injury, because when you have leaky gut, as we said, it's your gut is destroyed. So that's an injury, or any other injury in your body, because as we said, when you have an injury, you have inflammation. And what causes inflammation? It's histamine. So when you have an injury, you have histamine produced in your body. So it's a vicious circle. Okay? So if you have leaky gut, you have in an injured gut, then you will have more histamine. But because you have leaky gut, your gut cannot make DIO to break down the histamine. So you see the vicious circle. Another cause, food malabsorption. Because we said earlier that your gut flora, when they break down proteins, they create histamine. So when you don't absorb your food correctly, then the undigested food particles get to your bacteria, and they will make histamine. Okay, so you don't absorb your food properly, you will have more histamine in your body. Dysbiosis, because as we said, if you have undigested food particles, it gets to your bacteria will multiply and overgrow to digest these undigested food particles. And then you have dysbiosis with putrefaction flora that is caused by the malabsorption. And it's again, here it's also another vicious circle. And you need to know that stress also raises histamine production. So we were talking about drugs. So drugs block the enzymes that break down histamine. They block DAO and HMT. Okay, so here you have a list of all the drugs. I'm sure there are more actually, but yeah, these are all the drugs that are that block DAO and HMT. Okay, so yeah, again, chemical drugs are the worst. I really don't like chemical drugs. I only recommend natural remedies to heal whatever you have. Chemical drugs, they never heal you, they only suppress the symptoms, but they never heal you. They never address the root cause. And because they suppress the symptoms, they actually don't solve the problem. So the problem stays here, and these drugs actually poison you in the long run. They have tons of side effects, so they are the worst. And here it's a perfect example for histamine intolerance. All of these drugs just worsen your histamine intolerance. So you can pause on this slide if you want to read these drugs. Okay, so histamine rich foods. So you have histamine intolerance. What can you do? As we said, now that you know the causes, we will talk about the solutions in the next slides. But now that you know the causes, you know what to do to heal your gut and to heal your histamine intolerance. So while you do the protocol to heal your gut, if you do my protocol, so while you're doing this protocol to heal your gut, you need to eliminate from your diet histamine rich foods. Don't worry, you don't have to eliminate these foods for many months, just the time that you heal your gut. It can take about 1 to 3 months generally to heal your gut. For me, histamine intolerance was the first thing I could heal. It was the easiest intolerance I healed. It was the first thing that I healed before I healed my gluten intolerance, dairy intolerance, and eggs intolerance. Okay, so it's not too complicated. So anyway, these are the foods that you need to eliminate from your diet while you're trying to heal your gut. Okay, fermented foods. So histamine, basically, the older the food is, the more histamine it will have. Okay, so of course fermented foods, because they are old, let's say, and all the bacteria ferment the food and produce histamine. So cheese, yogurt, sauerkraut, kefir, vinegar, alcohol, soy sauce, salami, cured meats, olives, canned foods, okay, old foods like dried fruits, old fish and meat are rich in histamine. But you need to know that so fresh fish and meat are no problem at all. So you need to eat um, your meat and your fish as fresh as possible. And you need also to know that um, histamine develops on the surface of your meat and fish. So when you buy a piece of meat or a piece of fish, you can very simply eliminate histamine on the surface by rinsing it very well under the water. Okay, that's all you have to do um, for your fish and meat. So long cooking dishes like bone broth or stews will be rich in histamine. That's why bone broth is great to heal your gut, but if you have histamine intolerance, you won't be able to tolerate bone broth because it's rich in histamine. But there are other solutions. I will tell you the solutions in the next slide. Mushrooms, fish and seafood. So into parentheses, because again it depends. If they are very fresh, that's no problem. But fish and seafood are more tricky than just meat, because fish and seafood um, get degraded by bacteria faster than meat. But again, if you get it fresh and if you rinse it in the water, you're fine. Refined polyunsaturated fats, so eliminate that from your diet. Chocolate and cocoa, nuts and seeds, spices, buckwheat, amaranth, quinoa, wheat are rich in histamine and or oxalates, and so we will see that oxalates release histamine. So you have to listen to your body. It's not like not everybody that have histamine intolerance will be intolerant to all of these foods. Okay, you need to listen to your body first. Okay. Exotic fruits like pineapple, guava, etc., etc., are usually rich in histamine, or at least they release lots of histamine. Strawberries, some berries like strawberries or raspberries are rich in histamine, but again, it depends. It's not for everybody, but just be aware that these foods can cause issues. Wine. So I talked about alcohol. Of course, you need to eliminate completely alcohol from your diet when you have gut issues. But wine is particularly, especially red wine, is particularly rich in histamine. Nightshades. Many people with histamine intolerance react to nightshades, especially tomatoes. That was my case. I could not tolerate tomatoes at all. I reacted to potatoes also. Okay. Oxalates, as we said, like in spinach, kale, soya, almonds, avocados, citrus fruits, egg whites, especially raw egg whites, legumes, mainly because of the lectins, processed foods, mainly because of the additives, black tea and green tea, especially black tea that is fermented, so rich in histamine. Glutamate, sulfites, salicylates, oxalates release histamine. Okay, so again, listen to your body first. It's not because you have histamine intolerance that you will react to all of these foods. I had histamine intolerance and I was fine with buckwheat, with most spices. I was fine with avocados and citrus fruits. So if you are fine with, like, let's say avocados, don't eliminate that from your diet, because it would be a shame to eliminate avocados from your diet if you tolerate avocados perfectly. Same for citrus fruits. It would be a shame to avoid lemons if you don't actually react to lemons, because lemons are great for so many other things. So, yeah, listen to your body first. How to heal histamine intolerance? You need to repair your gut, because as we said, a healthy gut lining produces DAO, the enzyme that breaks down histamine. So, when you repair your gut, you heal your histamine intolerance. Don't eat processed foods. Eat organic foods only. Don't take drugs if possible. If you want to stop taking drugs, talk to your doctor and talk with him to see if you can stop your drugs. Eliminate histamine-rich foods during the protocol. That's what we just said. Eliminate your food intolerances during the protocol. This is something I really I say many times in my videos and in my course. In my opinion, it's not possible to heal your gut if you don't know your food intolerances. So I recommend to do a food intolerance blood test, not the finger prick test. That is not good, not the hair test, that is not good, but the real food intolerance blood test, where they take several tubes of your blood and they test foods with this blood. Okay. Eat liver. Why? Because as we said, so liver is very rich in nutrients. Your body needs nutrients to repair itself. And it's especially good for methylation. So methylation is actually, so we talked about the two enzymes that break down the histamine. There's actually a third thing that will break down histamine. It's methylation. Methylation breaks down histamine and detoxes your body. So for proper methylation to happen in your body, you need high levels of B12 and B9. So you have both in liver. Of course, for methylation, you need many other things like magnesium, zinc, and so on. But liver is a true superfood. You find huge quantities of vitamins and minerals, of almost all vitamins and minerals in liver. Liver is the best food you can eat. So I really recommend that you eat liver at least once a week. Liver is also rich in vitamin A. That's famous about liver. It's very rich in vitamin A. Vitamin A is essential to heal your skin, to heal your tissues. It's also liver rich in molybdenum. Molybdenum is a mineral, and when you have gut disease, when you have any gut conditions, you actually become deficient in many vitamins and minerals, and molybdenum is one of them. And molybdenum deficiency can lead to sulfur intolerance. Okay, so anyway, you have molybdenum in liver, so eat liver as often as possible. And eat kidneys, of course, because kidneys, as we said, make the DAO in enzyme. So eat kidneys. Even better if you can eat raw kidneys, because then the enzymes will be intact. Okay. Um, get enough natural vitamin C in your diet. Eat vitamin C rich foods, that is to say, mainly fruits, fresh fruits and vegetables. Of course, raw meat also has vitamin C, but not as much as fresh fruits and vegetables. But fresh and raw organ meats have good amounts of vitamin C, so that's good. You can also supplement, but we will talk about that in the next slide. You need to support your detox organ to heal histamine intolerance. Okay, your detox organ will detox histamine. So that is to say, the main detox organs are the liver and the kidneys, and then the skin also is the last one. So you need to detox your body with green vegetables. I like to recommend green juices with herbs, so herbs that support your detox organs. I will talk about that in the next slide. Activated charcoal, clay, make your lymph move with fasting, etc. You need to stay away from stress, because as we said, stress produces histamine in your body. Visualization, okay? You need to believe that you can heal, okay? Positive thinking. This is something I don't talk enough. I don't talk about enough on my channel. But visualization is very important because your thoughts create your reality. Okay, so you need to stay positive about your condition and about life in general. If you do the protocol and you keep thinking every day that it will never work, it's not that it won't work, but it won't work as fast as if you would be more positive about it. So that's an important point. Oxygenation, exercise, sun exposure are very important also. And limit EMF exposure. EMF cause tons of issues, and amongst those issues, EMFs cause dysbiosis. So, what foods should you eat if you have histamine intolerance? Alors, as we said, eat mainly fresh foods, okay? Because as we said, old foods or fermented foods are no for histamine intolerance. So eat fresh foods. Which foods in particular will help with your histamine intolerance? Organ meats, as we said. Kidneys, because they are rich in DAO. Liver, uh, as we said, eat fresh meats and fish, or frozen meats and fish. If they are frozen, you are sure that they don't have histamine, because they are, they get frozen right away, so they won't have time to have histamine developing on the surface. Eat sprouted green peas with your meals. Why? It's because sprouted green peas are rich in DAO. There are actually supplements, we will talk about that in the next slide, supplements for DAO supplements that are made with sprouted green peas. But as always, I prefer to recommend food over supplements. So you need to eat these sprouted green peas with your meals, so you get the DAO enzymes at the same time as the rest of your meal. So that will help. And you need to sprout these green peas for 10 days, so they have enough DAO. Okay. Eat red onions if tolerated. Why? It's because the pigments in the fruits and vegetables, the pigments that we call polyphenols or flavonoids, they break down histamine, and they stop the enzyme that breaks down histidine into histamine. Okay, so eat foods that have uh, lots of pigments on them, like vegetables and fruits and stuff like that. Okay, so red onions are especially rich in quercetin. Okay, so if you tolerate red onions, that's great. Quercetin is very famous. For people who have histamine intolerance, you will find that quercetin is always recommended. But as always, I prefer to recommend food over supplements. So instead of taking quercetin supplement, get real food with quercetin, red onions, and capers. Okay, fresh capers. Of course, don't buy fermented capers, because they will be high in histamine, and that will be counterproductive. Green vegetables, fresh herbs like parsley, mint, basil, and so on. Eat them as much as you want, except if you have gut issues, you want to avoid eating too much fiber, because too much fiber can actually injure your gut. So instead, juice them. I really like to recommend green juices. Eat berries, because berries also are rich in flavonoids, but it depends which berries, because we said some berries can actually produce histamine, like strawberries or raspberries, but try, because it's not the same for everybody. Um, but other berries like blueberries, for example, don't produce so much histamine, so you should be fine with blueberries. But again, listen to your body first. Black rice, same. It's because it's very rich in these pigments that stop histamine production in your body. And natural unrefined sea salt in your food. Put as much as you crave. Natural unrefined sea salt. Why? Because it's rich in minerals, and as we said, you need large amounts of vitamins and minerals to repair your gut, to repair your body. And sea salt, natural unrefined sea salt, has all the minerals that your body needs. Supplements. Okay, so this is a long list of supplements. You don't have to take all of these supplements. These are just the main supplements that can help you with histamine intolerance. Number one, so this is not in order of importance, but yeah, so enzymes. Why? Because enzymes will help you digest the proteins. And as we said, if you don't digest your proteins well, then your bacteria will break down the proteins, and by doing so, they will produce histamine. So, heal your stomach. If you don't digest proteins very well, it's because you have a problem with your stomach. So heal your stomach. I have a video about how to heal gastritis. So because your stomach is in charge of breaking down proteins properly. So if your stomach works properly, you will digest all of your proteins. Okay, so this is actually more important than taking enzymes. But yeah, take enzymes also to help with protein digestion. You can take NAC or NAS. I call it NAS, but I think most people call it NAC, N-acetylcysteine, because it supports the liver, and we said that you need to support your detox organs. NAS breaks down mucus, and it also breaks down biofilms if you have Candida or whatever overgrowth in your gut. So NAS can really help, but it can also cause issues. So it depends on people. It's not the same for everybody. I was fine with NAS when I had histamine intolerance, but some people can get a worsening of their symptoms with NAS. So it depends. Try, and if you feel that it's not good for you, then stop taking NAS. MSM. I have a whole video about MSM, so go watch this video. I will put it up there. MSM repairs your tissues, so it repairs your gut lining. It supports methylation. We said that methylation is very important when you have a histamine intolerance. I mean, methylation is very important for so many things, but it really helps to get rid of excess histamine. MSM supports the liver. It's great for detoxification. It's great for a better absorption of other supplements. So go watch my video about MSM if you want more details about that. Take clay, activated charcoal, and or zeolite. Again, it's because it helps with the detox. You can also take aloe vera gel. I have 2 videos about aloe vera gel on my channel. Go watch these videos if you want more information. Aloe vera gel is excellent to repair your gut lining. L-glutamine also is a great supplement to repair your gut lining. It repairs the intestinal mucosa, but it can be converted into histamine. So it's the same as NAC. It depends. For some people, L-glutamine will be fine. For other people, it will worsen their symptoms. It will depend. I was fine with L-glutamine. But as always, I prefer to recommend whole foods. So you don't need to supplement with L-glutamine if you drink meat stock or bone broth if you tolerate it. I have 2 videos about that. I have a video about bone broth. I have a video about meat stock. Go watch them. Meat stock is recommended over bone broth when you have histamine intolerance. So if you have a good gelatinous meat stock, you don't need to supplement with L-glutamine. Natural vitamin C, that's very important, especially natural vitamin C, okay? Don't take synthetic vitamin C. Natural vitamin C repairs the intestinal mucosa. It blocks histidine decarboxylase. It's great for detox. It's needed for detox. So natural vitamin C is essential. I have a whole video about vitamin C on my channel. Go watch that video about vitamin C. Natural magnesium, you can supplement with that. I recommend Nigari salt, that is magnesium chloride. You can take kidney supplements, and I like this brand. You can see the picture here, Ancestral Supplements. This is a great brand. They have grass-fed kidneys, and as we said, kidneys are rich in DAO. So this can really help you if you have histamine intolerance. You can also buy the intestine supplements from the same brand. I'm not sure if they have thymus. I'm not sure. But as we said, DAO in the body is mainly produced by the gut, by the gut lining, by the intestine, and by the kidneys. So if you take kidneys and intestine from ancestral supplements, that will greatly help you. Colostrum, also you can supplement with colostrum that is rich in DAO, and it also repairs the gut. You can take any supplements, any DAO plus catalase supplements, but as always, I prefer to recommend something more natural, like what I just said from ancestral supplements. Yeah, it's better to take both DAO and catalase rather than DAO alone, because catalase also protects the gut lining. Black cumin oil, okay, it's also called Nigella. Okay, I have an article. I wrote an article on my blog about black cumin, so go read it. It's on my website, thecandidaslayer.com. Click on blog, and you will see my different articles. So black cumin is anti-histaminic, antibacterial, etc. So it can really help you for histamine intolerance. Berberine is great. Also, I have a video about berberine. I have an article on my website about berberine. It's awesome. I love berberine. Fresh ginger, fresh turmeric will also help you. Flavonoids, as we said, block histidine decarboxylase. So I also told you about quercetin, but there's also an arginine. But again, I prefer to recommend, whole foods. Stinging nettle. Okay, stinging nettle is great. It's diuretic, so it means that it supports detoxification by your kidneys because it's diuretic. It's rich in minerals and especially silica, that is important to repair your tissues. It's rich in vitamin C. It's rich in chlorophyll. And it's a natural antifungal, antibacterial. So stinging nettles are great. If you can just go outside in the countryside, harvest stinging nettles, you can either eat them raw to get all the vitamins, or you can make a tea with it to get the minerals. You can put them in your soups. So stinging nettles are really great, and they have antihistaminic properties. And herbs that support the liver, the kidneys, and the skin, so that support your detox organs. The most powerful ones are milk thistle, dandelion, and burdock. You can supplement with one of them. You don't need to supplement with all of them, or maybe with two of them, and that's great. Antihistamine drugs don't break down histamine, they only suppress symptoms. Okay, so if you take antihistamine drugs, yes, it might help you in the moment, but on the long run, they won't do anything. Okay. Regarding probiotics, to repair your gut, you need probiotics, especially so if you want to, if you have dysbiosis like SIBO, Candida, and so on. Part of the protocol is you need to take probiotics. So it is known that some probiotics produce lots of histamine. So that's a problem if you have histamine intolerance. Which probiotics can you take? So here I listed different types of probiotics. In green are the probiotics that will help you if you have histamine intolerance. Orange is, some strains of probiotics we don't really know. When you research about these on internet, in the studies and so on, it's not very clear if they help or not. And in red, it's usually the ones that most people agree that they can worsen your symptoms if you have histamine intolerance. But it's not perfect science. It's nothing completely sure. Like the different strains found in yogurt, like Bulgaricus, Delbriki, and Thermophilus, these strains I've seen that they help for histamine intolerance or that they worsen histamine intolerance. So again, this list of probiotics is not perfect science. Okay. So it's just something to give you an idea of which probiotics to look for if you have histamine intolerance. But again, it's not something like 100%. Okay, so just be aware of that. And yeah, if you want more help, if you need my help to heal your gut, that's what I propose on my website. with my course to heal your gut. So you can go on my website, thecandidaslayer.com. The link will be in the description box under this video. And yeah, if you buy the course to heal your gut, you will receive the leaflet, the booklet that details everything you need to know, everything you need to do to heal your gut. And it also comes with a live Q&A on Zoom every week, every Sunday at 7 p.m. France time, Paris time, where you can ask me all of your questions. So I can guide you all along the protocol. I can help you all along the protocol. And yes, again, as I said in the beginning, you can heal. You can heal your gut, and when you will heal your gut, you will be able to enjoy life again as you did before. You will be able to enjoy meals with your friends and family. You will be able to enjoy histamine rich foods. You will be able to drink a glass of wine with no issues. So, yeah, you need to know that it is possible you can heal. I healed and many other people healed. So yeah, that's it for today. If you have questions, you can ask them under this video. You can also ask them in my Facebook group. The link will be under this video if you want to join me on my Facebook group. And yeah, I see you in the next video. Bye bye.